So, we will continue our discussion on this overall heat transfer coefficient, and as I mentioned that U, UO or UI whatever is first to be expressed as a function of inside and outside heat transfer coefficients. So, you see considering this temperature profile across this metal wall, cylinder, that is a pipe wall, the profile should be logarithmic. So, we are considering tentatively that it is a linear profile, but truly it should be logarithmic, but as the thickness is very small, so we can go for this approximation. So, here it is TH, then THI, TCI and TC. So, what we can consider, see that actually there are 3 different heat transfer resistances, right. 3 different heat transfer resistance. This is the outer resistance, this is the metal wall resistance, that is the inner resistance. So, let us write it as W because it is better. So, wall temperature, and here TC. So, overall temperature difference TH minus TC, we can write it as TH minus THW plus THW minus TCW plus TCW minus TC, right. And you know that dQ is equal to U, let us go for UI dAI into TH minus TC. So, obviously dQ divided by UI dAI will be TH minus TC, right. Similarly, we can write also as dQ divided by UO dAO. Now, for this film of hot fluid, and let us say it is inside, right, this is inside. So, dQ is equal to there HI into dAI into TH minus THW, right. So, heat transfer under steady state in this film through this metal and here must be same as that of overall rate of heat transfer. So, we can write it, and essentially dQ divided by HI into dAI is TH minus THW. Similarly, dQ for the inner side, this is inside and this is outside, HO into DAO into TCW minus TC. So, dQ divided by HO into DAO is TCW minus TC. And finally, coming to this metal wall, right. So, there you see the dQ, we know that this is equal to K into dAL bar, which is the logarithmic mean area we know from this conduction of cylinder, THW minus TCW divided by delta x, where delta x is the thickness here. This thickness is delta x, right. So, dQ divided by this K, dQ divided by K into dAL bar, and we can go for cross multiplication and the denominator delta x, right. Or rather we can write that dQ into delta x divided by dQ into delta x divided by K into dAL bar is equal to THW minus TCW. Now, we substitute the expressions in this overall temperature difference. So dq divided by uy dai is equal to this th minus thw, that dq divided by hi into dai plus delta x divided by k into dal bar. What happened? Yeah, dq, this gap is, yes, this delta x divided by k into dal bar into dq plus dq divided by ho into dao. Right. So 1 by uy dai is equal to 1 by hi dai plus delta x divided by k into 1 by dal bar plus 1 by ho dao. So similarly, you see, we can write also uo dao is 1 by hi dai plus delta x divided by k into 1 by dal bar, the same, plus 1 by ho dao. So 1 by uy becomes 1 by hi plus delta x by k dai by dal bar plus 1 by ho dai dao. So fundamentally uy becomes 1 divided by 1 by hi plus delta x by k. Now you see, dai is equal to pi di into dl. dao is equal to pi into do into dl. dal bar is equal to pi into dl bar into dl. So if I go on substituting these expressions, so here we will get di by dl bar, right, plus 1 by ho di by do. Similarly, uo will be 1 divided by hi do by di plus delta x divided by k do by dl bar and 1 divided by ho, right. And we have to note that dl bar is equal to do minus di divided by ln of do by di. So these two expressions, specifically that is not everything, because we will discuss it. So see, these two expressions of u are called clean overall heat transfer coefficient, right. So alternatively that is written as UCI and UCO. These are called clean overall heat transfer coefficient. Why it is being referred as clean? Because we have not considered the dart resistances, right. The dart resistances inside and outside has not been considered, which means two additional resistances we have to add in real situation. So what's that? See, this is TH, this is TC. So here the resistance is 1 by HI, right, in terms of here, this this UI, 1 by UI is the overall. So 1 divided by here, it will be HO DI by DO, sorry, this capital DI by DO. And this resistance is delta X by K, then DI by DL bar. Now we are adding a resistance which is the dart resistance. So dart layer inside is 1 by HDI, and here for outside 1 by HDO, 1 by HDO into DI by DO, right? So alternatively, if you think in terms of UO, so here again TC and TH, so 1 by HI, rather let's write 1 by HI DO by DI, here 1 by HO, and here delta X divided by K into DO by DL bar. So automatically here the dart resistance 1 by HDI, this DO by DI, and here it will be 1 by HDO, right. So that's UO. So what we can write here finally, that UDI and UDO, contrary to the clean overall heat transfer coefficient, but they are not referred as Darty overall heat transfer coefficient, but rather design overall heat transfer coefficient. Why? Because you see they are referred as design overall heat transfer coefficient. Why so? Because in the order analysis we write that Q is equal to what? Some U into A into some average temperature difference. Now if I design a heat exchanger with this clean overall heat transfer coefficient UCI or UCO, then definitely in the initial stage of its operation it will give you the full duty. But with time, what we haven't, there will be dart deposition on the surface, inner or outer surface, and as a consequence basically with that given designed area it will not be able to perform its full duty, because in the design stage we haven't accounted for the dart resistances. So when we account or when we include the projected or tentative dart resistance with a factor of safety in my calculation of heat exchanger area, then it is the corresponding heat transfer coefficient must be referred as design overall heat transfer coefficient, because we have to do the design of shell and tube or double pipe heat exchanger with these values, not with clean overall heat transfer coefficient. Okay? So here you see that 1 by UDI will be 1 divided by, again I am writing, but you can understand it's, this is UDI, this is UDO. So 1 by HI plus 1 by HDI plus delta X by K DI by DL bar plus 1 by HDO plus 1 by HO whole bracket DI by DO, right. And UDO will be equal to 1 divided by 1 by HO plus 1 by HDO plus delta X by K DO by DL bar 1 by HI 1 by HDI DO by DI, right. So what is important here to note that 1 by UDI is equal to 1 by UCI plus RDI, that is also an alternative representation, and 1 by UDO is equal to 1 by UCO plus RDO, sorry, not CO, RDO. So RDI, the overall dart resistance based on inside surface, so 1 by HDI plus, what will be that? 1 by HDI, this is UCI, so 1 by HDI plus 1 by HDO into DI by DO, and RDO will be 1 by HDO plus 1 by HDI into DO by DI. So they are all basically interchangeable, right. So we have got the idea of overall heat transfer coefficient and the respective analysis.
in term and its respective relation in terms of clean overall heat transfer coefficient. So, right. So, next we will go for understanding. So, with this idea, it is now clear that how we can write u as a function of hi and ho and in additionally hdi and hdo, right. So far we have discussed this sort of functional relation. So, in the next stage, next we have to go for this proof of q is equal to ua LMTD. So, how we can do that? Let us discuss about it. So, you see there are two different types of contacting pattern thermally. As for the double pipe heat exchanger, we have co-current and counter current flow. So, for co-current, you see that here we have the central pipe, this is the annulus section, and we have the hot fluid in and out, and if this is the cold fluid in and out, then it is co-current, right. So, alternative to it, which is more energy efficient, why we will discuss, is the counter current. So, this is the hot fluid, and here we will have the cold fluid in, right. So, you see the tentative temperature profile say this is the Z here 0 to L. For co-current, the pattern is something like this: TH1, TC1, TH2 and TC2. The difference of temperature at these two ends, that is delta T1 and delta T2, delta T1 and delta T2, they are approach or approaches of a heat exchanger, right. So, generally should be greater than 10 degrees Celsius. It is a standard thumb rule that in design we have to keep in mind that we have to go for maintaining that approach around 10 degrees Celsius. Whereas in counter current, you see what happens. The hot fluid inlets here, this is the hot fluid inlet, that is the cold fluid outlet. So, this is TH1, TH2, TC2 and TC1, Z is equal to 0 and Z is equal to L. So, note that why I am saying that this is more energy efficient. So, qualitatively we can say that TC1 max it's equal to TH1, right? The cold fluid maximally for infinite length heat exchanger can achieve the same temperature as that of the inlet of hot fluid, which is the highest possible temperature in this system. On the other hand, here TC2 max is equal to TH2. So the maximum achievable cold fluid temperature, in this case of co-current heat exchanger is the outlet temperature of the hot fluid, which is evidently lower than the inlet temperature. Whereas in case of counter current, we can understand that here this cold fluid outlet temperature maximally it can reach to hot fluid inlet temperature, which is highest possible temperature of this system. So from this perspective of the possibility, maximum possibility of thermal energy exchange, we can say that counter currents are more efficient than co-current heat exchanger, right? Counter current exchangers are more energy efficient than co-current exchangers, right? Now immediate question arises, then why we are going for co-current arrangement at all? What is the need? The need is if I have a heat sensitive material and I want to rapidly quench it, right? Or I need rapid heating of some cold stream, then we have to go for co-current. Why? Because initially see it has got a huge temperature difference. The driving force is maximum. So if you go for co-current exchanging, so it will be the hot stream will be immediately quenched, right? And cold stream will be immediately heated. So if rapid heating or cooling is necessary, then we can go for co-current heat exchangers. So with this basic understanding of co-current and counter-current heat exchanger, let's now go for deriving this overall Q value. The Q and Q will be some, we can understand that see that this gap, this gap is basically the temperature difference, delta T, right? Here it's also this delta T, and delta T changes with distance, and it's changing from here again, see this approach delta T1 to here delta T2, right? So we cannot write that Q is equal to UA into delta T because this delta T is varying. So there must be some sort of average, right? So what average is the most appropriate that we have to establish mathematically. So you see that delta T is basically TH minus TC, and we know that for co-current, let's do it for co-current, and we can extend it for counter current also. So dQ is equal to mH CPH, mH is a mass flow rate, CPH is the hot fluid specific heat, into dTH with a minus sign because dTH is decreasing, right? So dTH itself is negative. So dQ is the amount of heat exchange, and that's equal to MC into CPC into dTC, correct? So dQ is equal to minus of mH CPH d of, we can write this delta TH as delta T plus TC. So this is minus mH CPH d of delta T plus, or sorry, minus mH CPH, next dTC. Now dTC is equal to dQ divided by MC CPC.
right? So dq 1 plus mhCph divided by mcCpc upon switching this term to the left hand side is minus mhCph into d of delta t, right? So dq we get as mhCph mcCpc divided by mhCph plus mcCpc into d of delta t. Done? Now you see this dq, it's also equal to u into a into u into this dA into delta t, right, over this small gap. So u into dA, u into this dA into this or equal to minus mhCph mcCpc divided by mhCph plus mcCpc into d delta t by delta t, and we have to integrate it from delta t1 to delta t2, right, delta t1 to delta t2. Now delta t1, you see, delta t1 is greater than delta t2. So we include the minus sign, and here also we integrate over 0 to a. So u into a is equal to mhCph mcCpc divided by mhCph plus mcCpc ln of delta t1 by delta t2, because delta t1 is greater than delta t2. Now again, if I write the integrated form of q, so we get mhCph into th1 minus th2, which is equal to mcCpc into tc2 minus tc1, right? So q divided by, you see, mhCph plus q divided by mcCpc, q divided by mhCph plus q divided by mcCpc, that's equal to th1 minus th2 plus tc2 minus tc1. So you can write th1 minus tc1 minus th2 minus tc2, right? So q, then mhCph mcCpc, then mhCph plus mcCpc, it's equal to delta t1 minus delta t2. So this group of this MCP term, if I replace from these two equations, then u into a, then here it will be equal to just q divided by delta t1 minus delta t2, and on this side delta t1 by delta t2. So q we are getting this u into a into delta t1 minus delta t2 divided by ln of delta t1 by delta t2. So essentially this is the log mean temperature difference, and we get the very famous equation of chemical engineering, that q is equal to UA LMTD, log mean temperature difference. So this average is basically log mean average, right? So that is to be established, or that we have established from here, and the same can be easily established, though I am not going for it. Same can be easily established for this counter current heat exchanger as well.
So let's prove another that's more or less about convection. So next, what I have mentioned in 1 or 2 lectures before, that for this sphere placed in a stagnant fluid, for sphere placed in a stagnant fluid, the Nusselt number equal to 1. So that we are going, sorry, Nusselt number equal to 2. So that we are going to establish now. See, if I think of a sphere of radius capital R and this is small r, right, radial coordinate, then we are going to solve this conduction equation, general conduction equation for spherical coordinate, and that is 1 by r square ddr of r squared ddr is equal to 0, which is straight away the outcome of Laplace equation, right. So here we will get this r squared dt dr equal to C1, right. So T is equal to C1 minus C2 minus C1 by R. Now what are the boundary conditions? That at R equal to capital R, T equal to Ts, and R tending to infinity, T equal to this T infinity. So you see that when R tends to infinity, this part is 0, so C2 is basically T infinity, and Ts will be equal to T infinity minus C1 divided by R, right. So what happened? The C1 we have to solve for, this Ts minus T infinity into capital R with a minus sign is equal to C1, right. This C1 is, okay, so let's substitute it. So T equal to T infinity plus Ts minus T infinity into R divided by small r. Now at R equal to capital R, T equal to Ts, R equal to infinity, T equal to T infinity, so solution is exactly consistent. Now this Q, it's equal to minus of K dt dr at R is equal to capital R, right. So what we are getting? It is Ts minus T infinity into small this capital R, and 1 by R is, which will be giving you 1 by R square, right, with a minus sign. That minus and this minus cancels out. Here it is K and here it is capital R square. So finally it is this. So that's equal to H into Ts minus T infinity. So H into R divided by K equal to 1. So H into D divided by K equal to 2, which is basically the Nusselt number. So that is the proof. Okay. See, there is a problem like it GATE 2009 problem, a 2 marks problem. A double pipe heat exchanger is to be designed to heat
4 kg, m dot c equal to 4 kg per second of cold feed from TCI 20 degree, TCO 40 degree, right. Using a hot stream, inlet temperature of the hot fluid 160 degree and flow rate m dot h 1 kg per second. Two streams have got equal specific heat, that is Cph equal to Cpc, U is equal to 640 watt per meter square Kelvin. Then the ratio of the heat transfer area required for co-current to that of counter current. So, area co-current divided by area counter current, that we have to solve. Now, you see that first we can write that 4 into Cpc into 20 must be is equal to 1 into Cph into 160 minus THO, right, typical enthalpy balance. So, Cpc, Cph cancels out. So, this is 80 equal to 160 minus THO. So, THO is equal to 160 minus 80 equal to 80 degrees Celsius. So, now if it is co-current, delta T1 is equal to THI minus TCI, delta T2 is equal to THO minus TCO, right. So, you see that THI minus TCI, THI is 160, TCI 20, so 140, right, and THO we have solved 80, TCO 40, that is 40. So, next for counter current calculations, delta T1. So, inlet of hot fluid is outlet of cold fluid. Outlet of cold fluid is 40 degree. This is at available at 160 degree, right. So, 160 minus 40 equal to 120. Okay, and THI, that is THI and TCO, and additionally THO is 180, TCI is 20, so 80 minus 20, that's equal to 60. Okay, so once you have got these two differences, now you see that area is equal to Q by U into LMTD. Now, U remains same. So, area co-current divided by counter current is equal to basically LMTD counter current divided by LMTD co-current, right. So, from there you can solve and you can get the answer of co-current to counter current ratio. This is quite an interesting problem and very, very conceptual. This is which year? 2007 probably. 2007 2 marks get problem. What is stated? The hot fluid entering a well-starred vessel is cooled by feeding cold water through a jacket around it, around the vessel. We have vessel, we have a jacket. Okay. Hot fluid enters the vessel. Assume the jacket is also well mixed. The jacket is also well mixed. Right. That means everywhere the temperature same. So, assume the jacket is well mixed. For the following data, mass flow rate of the hot fluid. What is the mass flow rate?
0.25 kg per second. So given, I'm not doing this, I'm just writing, see m dot h given, Cph given, right, m dot cold is given, Cp cold given. The inlet and outlet temperature of the hot fluid, inlet and outlet 150 degrees Celsius and outlet temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. The inlet temperature of the cold fluid is 20 degrees Celsius, right. U is 500 watt per meter square Kelvin. The heat transfer area that is to be calculated. Okay. So you see, by using this enthalpy balance, so m dot h Cph into 150 minus 100, that is 50, that is m dot c Cpc, and the cold fluid is this TCO minus 20. So we can solve for TCO, right. Now, what is the driving force? Whether it is changing? Apparently, it seems that it is changing from point to point. But if we look into that idea that both the vessel and the star they are well mixed, we have to understand that just like the CSTR or any starred tank, everywhere here the temperature will be 100 degree, right? And similarly in the jacket, everywhere the temperature will be TCO. So my driving force will be 100 degree minus TCO. That's this point in the problem, salient feature of this problem. Then U into A must be is equal to Q, right? And Q is this. So substitute it and get the answer of this area. See another problem. It stated that here at 20 degree the property is given. Here at 20 degree is flowing over a block of ice 1 meter cross 1 meter. So this is 1 meter, this is also 1 meter, right. If the ice is at melting point, calculate the rate of melting of ice. So you see, we have to calculate this heat transfer, right. An average heat transfer coefficient H into L divided by K for plate flow over a flat plate, right, and the velocity, free stream velocity is given. If we do this for REL, that is U infinity into L into rho by mu, we will find it that this is greater than less than 10 to the power 7. So flow we can conclude to be laminar. So H bar L by K equal to 0.664 into REL to the power half into Prandtl number to the power 1/3. And Prandtl number for air can be safely considered to be 0.7. So you substitute, get the property and get the value of H bar. Now once you know this H bar and you know the temperature, so temperature difference, see here the ice is at 0 degree, so temperature difference is 20 degree. So 20 degree into H bar into the overall area, that is 1 meter square, is equal to dm dt melting into lambda, which is the latent heat of ice, and that's 80 calorie per gram. So from there we can solve for this dmdt. Okay? So that's all about the convection. In the next class we will discuss about radiations, and maybe we will solve some more forced convection problems. Thank you.